Right now, millions of people are literally choking down these chalky, artificially flavored shakes.
Oh, yeah, thinking they're, like, totally hacking their biology.
Right, optimizing their health.
Yeah.
But what if modern nutritional science says they might actually just be creating really, really expensive urine?
Honestly, it's highly likely.
Welcome to the deep dive. You know that feeling when you're standing in the supplement aisle, or maybe you're just scrolling online?
And you are just completely overwhelmed.
Exactly. The sheer volume of information is insane.
Yeah.
You just want to know what actually works, but everyone is shouting at you about the next big optimization hack.
It is the literal definition of information overload. I mean, it can leave you feeling completely exhausted.
Totally.
The volume of conflicting advice out there makes it almost impossible to know what to actually put on your plate every day.
And that is exactly why we are here. We want to cut through that noise for you. Today, we're looking at just a massive cultural phenomenon in the wellness world. It's 2026, and you basically cannot open a fitness app without being bombarded by this concept of protein maxing.
Oh, protein maxing. It has completely taken over the cultural conversation around food right now.
For anyone who has somehow missed it, protein maxing is this absolute obsession with hitting massive daily protein macro targets. And the overarching rule seems to be that, well, it simply does not matter how you get it.
Right, the source is completely ignored.
People are chugging heavily processed shakes. They're forcing down these synthetic protein bars that, they barely resemble actual food.
Barely food at all.
And they are dumping isolated protein powders into everything from their morning coffee to
To their evening dessert, yeah. All just to, quote, get the grams in. It's an incredibly reductionist view of nutrition. Like, the entire value of a diet, the whole complex biological interaction of eating, is just being reduced to a single number on a macro tracker on your phone.
But according to a really comprehensive research report we're unpacking today from My Whole Foods, it's titled Purposeful Protein. Beyond the macros, that era is officially dead.
Thank you.
Right. The era of macros over everything is ending, and we are entering the era of the whole food matrix. So we're going to explore this profound paradigm shift that's sweeping the wellness world. Okay, let's unpack this. What exactly does purposeful protein actually mean in practice for you, the listener?
Well, to understand purposeful protein, we have to start with a fundamental biological reality. Humans do not eat isolated macronutrients.
Right. We eat food.
Exactly. We eat food. When we talk about purposeful protein, we are talking about the quality of the source, how it is spaced throughout the day, and most importantly, the co-nutrients it provides alongside that protein.
You mean like the package it comes in?
Precisely that, the biological package.
Hmm.
Let's contrast two different approaches to feeding your body, just as an example. Say you consume a scoop of standard whey protein isolate.
Okay, classic gym bro move.
Right. You shake it up with water and drink it down. Now, you are absolutely delivering about 25 grams of protein to your muscles.
Which sounds great on paper.
On paper, sure. But that is the end of the story. You are providing virtually nothing else to your complex biological system. I mean, there is zero fiber to feed your gut microbiome.
None at all.
There are zero complex carbohydrates to provide sustained energy, and there are zero phytonutrients to combat cellular damage.
It's basically a biological ghost passing through your system.
That is a highly accurate way to frame it,
Yeah.
actually. Now, conversely, imagine you sit down and eat a hearty bowl of spiced lentils.
Sounds way better already.
Right. This is what the report classifies as a purposeful protein source. Yes, you are getting a significant amount of protein to repair muscle tissue, but you are also receiving a massive dose of dietary fiber.
Oh.
You're getting essential minerals like iron and magnesium. You are getting B vitamins like folate. You're getting powerful antioxidant polyphenols all in one bowl.
Okay, let me try to visualize this. If you were throwing a concert, isolated protein is like hiring a lead singer with no band.
I love that.
Sure, you got the main attraction, but the music is going to sound incredibly thin. The whole food matrix, like those spiced lentils, is like booking the entire symphony orchestra.
Exactly.
And it seems like the fiber isn't just sitting in the background playing the triangle, The fiber is the conductor. It's pacing the entire tempo of digestion, making sure the energy enters your bloodstream at a steady, manageable rhythm, rather than just a chaotic crash of cymbals.
What's fascinating here is how perfectly that conductor analogy aligns with human digestion. Because gastric emptying, which is the speed at which food leaves your stomach, is heavily regulated by that fiber.
So it puts the brakes on.
Yes, it physically slows the process down, meaning the protein and carbohydrates are absorbed at a pace your liver and bloodstream can actually handle without a massive insulin spike.
That makes so much sense.
That whole food matrix is actively supporting your gut health, stabilizing your mood, regulating your cardiovascular function, and just feeding your long-term longevity. Purposeful protein means choosing foods that multitask.
Right. You were getting a broad spectrum of physiological benefits rather than just isolated molecules.
Exactly.
So if the matrix matters that much on an individual level, I have to wonder what happens when we look at this on a macro, like societal scale. If you change that biological package from animal sources to plant sources across a massive population, what does the data actually show?
That is the exact question researchers wanted to answer, and it leads us to some of the most compelling data in the My Whole Foods report. They highlight this landmark study published in JAMA Internal Medicine back in 2020.
Okay, Jameis, so we're talking top-tier research.
Absolutely. And this was not a small, short-term trial. They tracked over 400,000 individuals for 16 years.
Wait, over 400,000 people for nearly 2 decades.
Yeah.
That's a staggering data set.
The scale is immense, and the findings were deeply significant. They found that a higher intake of plant protein was consistently associated with a lower risk of overall mortality,
Wow.
and specifically cardiovascular disease mortality in both men and women. But the most revealing aspect of the study, by far, was their substitution analysis.
Which, I'm assuming, means they didn't just look at absolute numbers, but rather tracked what happens when a person actively swaps out one specific food item for another.
Right.
Like trading a beef patty for a black bean burger.
You hit the nail on the head. The researchers found that by replacing just 3% of a person's daily energy intake from animal protein, particularly processed and unprocessed red meat, with an equivalent amount of plant protein, the participants experienced a 10% decrease in overall mortality risk.
Wait. I need to push back on this on behalf of the listener because that math sounds completely wild.
I know it does.
A mere 3% swap causes a 10% drop in overall mortality. How can such a tiny incremental change yield such massive life-extending dividends? Like, let's ground this. What does the 3% swap even look like on a dinner plate?
On a practical level, a 3% swap is incredibly small. It looks like replacing a few slices of breakfast bacon with a handful of almonds.
Really? That's it?
Or swapping a small portion of ground beef in a chili for like half a cup of extra kidney beans.
And doing that single minor swap drops your mortality risk by 10%. I mean, I need to understand the biology behind that because it sounds almost too good to be true.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, it all comes down to the daily compounding effects of systemic inflammation. There's a highly cited 2016 review in Food and Function that explains the mechanism beautifully.
Okay, lay it on me.
Plant proteins come bundled with that fiber and those phytonutrients we just talked about. These compounds actively lower systemic inflammation in the body day after day.
Okay.
Furthermore, plant proteins completely lack the high levels of saturated fat and heme iron that are bundled into many animal sources.
You know, I hear the term heme iron thrown around a lot. Why is it so problematic in this specific context?
Well, heme iron, when consumed in high continuous doses, acts as a potent catalyst for oxidative stress.
Which is essentially cellular rust, from what I understand, like a process that damages our cells and tissues over time.
That is a perfect description. At a molecular level, oxidative stress happens when there is an imbalance between highly reactive molecules called free radicals and the antioxidants meant to neutralize them.
Oh, I see.
When heme iron and saturated fats drive up this cellular rust day after day, it heavily contributes to metabolic syndrome.
And that's the dangerous cluster of conditions, right? High blood pressure, elevated blood sugar, excess body fat around the waist.
Exactly. So when you make that tiny 3% swap on your plate, you aren't just adding the protective symphony of fiber and antioxidants.
You are simultaneously removing a daily chemical trigger for that cellular rust.
Right, you're getting a double benefit. And when you compound that double benefit every single day for 16 years, that small shift snowballs into a massive protective shield for your heart.
Okay, the biological mechanics make total sense now.
Yeah.
But if the data on plant proteins is this undeniably clear for our cellular health and longevity, why on earth has the public been told for decades that plant proteins are somehow inferior?
It's a great question.
I mean, you always hear people say they are incomplete and that you have to obsessively plan your meals just to survive on them.
You're bringing up one of the most stubborn nutritional dogmas in modern history. For decades, the primary argument against relying on plant proteins was indeed this myth of the incomplete protein.
Right.
The outdated theory went like this. Because most individual plant foods do not contain all 9 essential amino acids in the exact, perfect ratios required by human biology.
Like the specific ratios you would find in a chicken breast or an egg.
Exactly. The idea was that you had to carefully, meticulously combine different plants at every single meal.
Oh, the classic rice and beans rule.
Yeah. Yes, exactly.
I remember reading fitness magazines saying that if you eat beans, you must eat rice at the exact same time, literally chewing them together, or the protein basically doesn't count, and your muscles will just wither away.
It's wild looking back at it. It created an immense, completely unnecessary anxiety around plant-based eating. It made people feel like they needed a degree in biochemistry just to eat a salad.
Totally.
But modern nutritional science has thoroughly dismantled this idea.
So how does the body actually process these amino acids if it isn't, like, demanding a perfect ratio at 12.000 p.m. sharp?
Well, the human body is remarkably intelligent. It does not process food in isolated meal-by-meal vacuums. Instead, it maintains an ongoing internal supply called pool of free amino acids.
Cool. Like a reservoir.
Yeah, exactly. This pool is constantly being replenished by the various foods you eat throughout the day, as well as from the natural, continuous recycling of your body's own cellular tissues.
Oh, here's where it gets really interesting. So the human body isn't some rigid, fragile assembly line that just halts all production if one specific biological screw is missing at lunchtime.
Not at all.
It is much more like a smart inventory warehouse. The circulating amino acid pool is the warehouse, and the liver acts as the master logistics manager, just pulling from that inventory over a 24-hour period to build whatever structures the body needs.
That is a brilliant way to conceptualize it. Your liver is the ultimate logistics manager.
Wow.
As long as you are eating a varied diet that features different plant protein sources like legumes, whole grains, nuts, and seeds, over the course of a 24-hour window, your liver will simply pull from that warehouse.
And just seamlessly synthesize all the complete perfect proteins your body requires.
Exactly. The liver does the work for you.
Which means you do not need a complicated spreadsheet to track your amino acids. You just need a general variety of foods throughout the day.
The stress of meal-by-meal combining is biologically unwarranted. Your liver handles the heavy lifting.
Okay, so we've established what to eat. A variety of purposeful plant proteins. And we know we don't need to stress over combining them perfectly on a single plate.
Right.
But the report dives heavily into something else that feels just as critical, which is when we eat them. Because apparently timing is the one specific variable the standard Western diet gets completely wrong.
It truly is the blind spot of modern eating habits. To understand why timing matters so much, we have to look at how the human body handles protein compared to the other macronutrients.
Right.
If you eat a massive excess of carbohydrates, your body is highly efficient at storing that as glycogen in your muscles and liver for later energy use.
Right, like marathon runners carbo loading before a race.
Exactly that mechanism.
Yeah.
And if you eat a significant excess of dietary fat, your body is incredibly efficient at storing that as adipose tissue body fat for long-term survival.
Makes sense.
But the human body has virtually zero storage mechanism for excess dietary protein.
Wait, none. Which completely contradicts how most of us structure our meals.
Completely.
I mean, think about the standard Western dietary pattern. You wake up, maybe you have a bagel or a bowl of cereal, almost zero protein for breakfast.
Yep.
Then lunch rolls around, maybe you have a salad with a tiny sprinkle of cheese, giving you minimal protein. And then dinner arrives, and boom, you sit down to a massive 80-gram protein steak or a giant piece of fish, thinking you are doing your muscles a massive favor.
It is a highly inefficient way to fuel your system. Muscle protein synthesis, which is the physiological process of repairing and building your muscle tissue, maxes out at roughly 20 to 30 grams of high-quality protein per meal for the average adult.
Only 20 to 30 grams.
That's it.
That feels incredibly low compared to the portions we are served in restaurants. Why does it cap out there?
It basically comes down to enzyme saturation. The enzymes responsible for initiating that muscle building process become fully saturated once they hit that 20 to 30 gram threshold.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, the machinery physically cannot process any more building blocks at that specific moment.
I have to ask, though, if the body has that inventory warehouse for amino acids that we just talked about, why can't the liver just expand the warehouse? Like, why can't it just store the excess 50 grams of protein from that massive dinner for later use, the same way it stores carbs or fats?
This raises an important question, and it is a crucial physiological distinction to make. We have to separate the idea of the circulating pool of free amino acids from the concept of long-term structural storage.
Okay, break the mechanics of that down for me.
Way, the amino acid pool is very small and it is highly transient. It's
Hmm.
a temporary holding area in your bloodstream and tissues that is constantly turning over.
Okay.
Think of it less like a massive warehouse and more like a busy loading dock. Things arrive and they must be processed and shipped out quickly. Carbohydrates and fats, on the other hand, can be packed away into long-term storage facilities,
Mm.
your fat cells, which can expand almost indefinitely.
So what literally happens to the extra 50 grams of protein from that giant dinner if the loading dock is completely full and the muscle-building factory enzymes are already running at maximum capacity?
It absolutely does not become extra muscle.
Okay.
Any protein consumed beyond that 20 to 30 gram saturation point in a single sitting is generally oxidized for energy, meaning your body just burns it like a carbohydrate.
Oh, I see.
Or it is converted into urea by your liver and excreted in your urine.
Wow. So by slamming a massive 80-gram protein shake or eating a huge steak all at once, you are quite literally flushing expensive protein down the drain.
You are creating very expensive nitrogen-rich urine.
That's crazy.
That is why spacing your protein intake evenly is so vital to human biology. By aiming for roughly 20 to 30 grams at breakfast, lunch, and dinner, you optimize muscle repair throughout the entire day.
That makes total sense.
But beyond just muscle, this even distribution maintains a constant, steady supply of amino acids in the bloodstream. This steady supply signals to your body to release insulin and glucagon in a balanced way, which keeps your blood sugar incredibly stable.
Which means no more crashing at 3:00 p.m., feeling desperate for a coffee and a sugary pastry just to keep your eyes open.
Exactly. The steady physiological distribution keeps you feeling full, mentally focused, and physically energized from morning until night.
Okay, this is all fascinating biology, but knowledge is only really valuable when we can actually apply it to our daily lives.
Agreed.
We need to translate this science directly onto your plate. If we are ditching the synthetic shakes and we want to hit that sweet spot of 20 to 30 grams per meal using the whole food matrix, what are the heavy hitters we should be looking for at the grocery store?
The My Whole Foods report highlights some phenomenal multitaskers. Let's start with lentils.
Oh, the symphony orchestra from earlier.
Exactly. They are an absolute biological powerhouse. One cooked cup provides a massive 18 grams of protein. But remember the concept of the matrix. That same cup also delivers 15 grams of dietary fiber.
15 grams of fiber in one cup. That is incredible for satiety and keeping the gut microbiome thriving.
It really is.
Plus, the report mentions they provide significant amounts of iron and folate, and they cook so much faster than dried beans.
Next up, you've got edamame and quinoa. These are unique because they are standalone, complete proteins.
Meaning they actually do have all those essential amino acids in one tidy package, if that's a metric you still prefer to track.
Right, if you're still worried about it. Edamame gives you 17 grams of protein per cup, making it a perfect low-effort afternoon snack.
Nice.
And quinoa provides 8 grams per cup, which might not sound huge on its own, but when you use it as a base for a meal instead of white rice, it instantly elevates the entire nutritional profile of the dish.
And the report heavily emphasizes seeds, too. Chem parts are tiny, but incredibly mighty. Just 3 tablespoons deliver 10 grams of highly digestible protein.
And a perfect biological ratio of omega-3 to omega-6 fatty acids to further fight inflammation.
I love the idea that they have a mild, nutty flavor and just disappear into smoothies or oatmeal. You wouldn't even know they're there.
Totally.
And pumpkin seeds, 9 grams of protein per ounce. Plus, they are packed with zinc and magnesium, which the body desperately needs for immune function and deep sleep support.
When you look at these ingredients, you realize you don't need to force anything. The report advocates for a simple mindset shift called the plate method.
Usually when I hear plate method, I think of standard, boring dietary advice.
Yeah.
But framing it through this biological lens makes it sound like a productivity hack for your body. How do we execute it?
You basically treat your plate as an operating system. You fill half of it with colorful, non-starchy vegetables to flood the system with micronutrients.
Okay.
You dedicate 1/4 to complex carbohydrates like sweet potatoes or brown rice for sustained energy. And you fill the final quarter with a robust source of purposeful plant protein.
Like a hearty lentil stew, marinated tofu, or a mixed bean salad. The report actually provides a sample 3-day meal plan to prove this works. And it is eye-opening. You can easily hit 70 to 80 plus grams of high-quality, fiber-rich protein a day without a single scoop of isolated powder.
It's surprisingly easy once you get the hang of it.
For example, day one is overnight oats with hemp hearts for breakfast, a huge chickpea and quinoa salad for lunch, and a rich lentil and spinach dal for dinner. That simple day right there delivers 74 grams of purposeful protein.
See.
So what does this all mean? It means adopting this biological optimization doesn't require expensive supplements, it doesn't require choking down chalky shakes, and it doesn't require meticulous, stressful macro tracking on your phone.
It just requires choosing foods that multitask.
Beautifully said.
By making that shift, you move your focus away from the sheer reductionist quantity of a single macronutrient and toward the holistic quality of the entire food matrix. You nourish your cellular machinery in a way that isolated synthetic powders simply cannot replicate.
You are supporting your muscle synthesis, yes, but you are also actively feeding your microbiome, you are dropping your systemic inflammation to protect your heart, and you are fueling your long-term longevity.
It is a profound, necessary shift in how we approach human health.
Well, we want to thank you for joining us on this deep dive today. We've covered an immense amount of ground, from bust-busting the anxiety-inducing myth of the incomplete protein to understanding the biological mechanics of why that massive 80-gram steak dinner is doing your body absolutely no favors.
I would love to leave you with one final thought to mull over, though.
Oh, go for it.
If modern nutritional science clearly proves that our bodies are intelligent enough to extract, seamlessly combine, and synthesize perfectly complete proteins from a diverse 24-hour matrix of whole plants, it makes you wonder.
Wonder what?
What other essential isolated vitamin or mineral supplements are sitting in our medicine cabinets right now that our bodies would actually prefer to just extract from a hearty, varied dinner?
Wow. That is a fantastic, provocative question to end on. The next time you're about to scoop some synthetic powder into a plastic shaker bottle, take a moment. Look closely at the biological matrix of your next meal instead. Maybe it's time to book the whole symphony. Until next time.